All right, let's start with the big story that we are tracking at this hour, where US President Donald Trump and the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un are presently in Singapore for the much-anticipated 12th of June summit. Now, President Trump flew in on board the Air Force One just a few hours after Kim Jong-un touched down in Singapore. Their meeting, the first between a North Korean leader and also a sitting US president, will take place tomorrow at the resort island of Sentosa. The US president has described the summit as a one-time shot for Pyongyang at peace and has said that the two were in unknown and uncharted territory. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has also expressed excitement ahead of the summit. He's tweeted, and I quote, "Great to be in Singapore, excitement in the air," unquote. Now, the United States is hoping that the summit will kickstart a process that eventually sees Kim Jong-un give up the nuclear weapons. The President Trump has met with Singapore's president as well, and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has said that he believes that Singapore's role will be recorded in history if the summit with President Trump is successful. Now, Singapore is only the third country that Kim Jong-un has visited since he became the leader in 2011. Kim is also scheduled to meet Donald Trump at 9 a.m. local time on Tuesday to talk about ending his country's nuclear program in lieu of the removal of harsh international and crippling financial sanctions. All right, now for more on this, we are joined in by my colleague Ramesh Ramachandran, who's presently in Singapore and has been tracking every little detail for us. Good morning to you, Ramesh. Now, what is expected of this much-anticipated summit talks, which are to take place tomorrow at 9 a.m.? Now, talk us through the engagements that have been slotted for tomorrow.
So Tuesday is a big day for North Korea and the US, as I've been reporting here on WION. This is an unprecedented meeting which has never ever happened before in American history or North Korean history for that matter. First time a sitting American president will be meeting a North Korean leader, this time in Singapore, a neutral third-party location for the first ever meeting or a summit meeting between American and North Korean leaders. There's a sense of anticipation really here in Singapore as well for the summit meeting, how it will go and what it might achieve going forward. But talking about the summit meeting itself, it'll begin sharp 9 a.m. local time. That's about 6:30 in the morning in India, when Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un will reach the Capella Hotel, not far from where I'm standing at the moment, on the Sentosa Island for the much-anticipated summit meeting between the two leaders. Now, Kim Jong-un will be arriving from the St. Regis Hotel, whereas Donald Trump will be arriving from the Shangri-La Hotel, both in the neighborhood of the Capella Hotel, but about 20 minutes drive away in the central commercial district of Singapore. We're given to understand that the first engagement will be a one-on-one meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, when they will be seated with their respective interpreters or translators, and they'll exchange notes on where things stand at the moment and where they might be headed going forward. That'll be followed by an extended meeting between the respective officials as well. Now, Kim Jong-un will be leaving Singapore at about 2 p.m. local time on Tuesday, so that gives very little time for the North Korean delegation to brief the media on the outcome of the summit. So in all likelihood, the briefing might come from the American delegation as to what transpired in the Trump-Kim meeting at the Capella Hotel on Sentosa Island here in Singapore. And that said, the North Korean delegation, therefore, is not expected to brief the media as such, because they'll be leaving at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. But that said, there is a sense of anticipation here in Singapore, and the Singaporean government, for that matter, has launched a commemorative coin which has the pictures of, if I can show it to you on the Singapore newspaper here, it has on one side it has a picture of the handshake between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, and on the reverse side there is a symbol of peace, a pigeon with flowers, flower decoration. So this has been freshly minted by the Singapore government and is being offered as a commemorative memento for people who might want to cherish these memories for a long, long time to come in the future. But that said, one interesting feature is that the American side will be expecting to take away from this summit in terms of the progress achieved, incremental progress on the summit meetings on issues going forward. Essentially, this puts pressure on Donald Trump to tell the world that he can be a good deal maker, not just a deal breaker. Remember, Trump has pulled America out of the Paris Climate Change Accord. He's pulled America out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He's been criticized around the world for his for imposing tariffs on European and Canadian imports. So he's been roundly criticized at the recent G7 meeting as well. So there's pressure on Trump to prove the world, to tell the world that he can be a good deal maker as well. So a lot rides on the Trump-Kim meeting here in Singapore.
And also, WION spoke to Indian High Commissioner to Singapore, Javed Ashraf, as US President Donald Trump is all set to meet with Kim Jong-un. Now, the Indian official says that he is hopeful of a positive outcome, and more importantly, India has expressed concerns over nuclear proliferation, especially with the links between Pakistan and North Korea having been fairly well established.
How does India view the much anticipated summit between the leaders of the US and North Korea happening here in Singapore on Tuesday morning?
There's much excitement in Singapore. As far as India is concerned, one, of course, the Prime Minister has always said that nations must have the courage to pursue dialogue over discord. And we therefore welcome the summit between President Trump and State Leader Kim. We have generally always stood for the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, for peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula, because in many ways it affects the entire region. It isn't just the question of relations between two Koreas, but there are a lot of major power interests involved there. Second, I think that you're all aware that we've been directly also in the past affected by what we certainly was a case of a proliferation relationship between DPRK and Pakistan, which is, in our view, well documented. And it just goes to show that what happens in one part of the world, and particularly in one part of Asia, seemingly distant from India, does have an impact on our security, on our stability, and on the overall peaceful future for the region. So we hope that there is a positive outcome for this. It's going to be a long road ahead. These are very complex negotiations on an extremely complex and technical subject. There are a lot of things at stake. But it would also involve, I think, the interests of a number of countries in the region. And even though they may not be present here, their interests will have a bearing on the eventual outcome. So let's see where it goes from now.